have here the second unifying theme of life, which is all living things acquire material and energy. Meaning they need to metabolize, they need energy to help their processes in their system to commence or begin. With that being said, there are two types of metabolism, namely the catabolism, which is the breaking down of large molecule into a smaller molecule. So usually, when we do catabolism, energy is being released. Ibig sabihin ay nagkakaroon tayo ng additional energy kapag ginagawa natin yung catabolism. One example of this one is eating. When we eat, we break down large food molecule into a smaller glucose molecule, and this at the end produce also ATP or energy which can be used by the cell. On the other hand, we have the anabolism, which is the process wherein small molecule turns into a larger molecule. This is the complete opposite of catabolism, and usually you use energy in building block or in building the small molecule into larger molecule. We have here the example of enzyme. As you can see in the lower part of the screen, on the right side, we have here the different substrate and active site. So when these two things fuse together, or this small molecule fuse together, it creates a large molecule known as an enzyme. Okay? So it uses energy to do so. Third unifying theme about life is that living things maintain homeostasis. So the term homeostasis, homeo or homo means same. Excuse me. Stasis means standing. So literally, homeostasis is the same standing or similar standing from the internal to the external environment or factor. One of the best example that we can utilize in homeostasis is that temperature. No, sa temperature. When there's a high temperature outside of our body, for example, 42 degrees sa labas natin or may heat index 41, what do you think will happen in our body? So technically, our body needs to cooperate with that heat. No? Kailangan mag-adjust ng katawan natin. So the thing that our body needs to do is produce sweat. Why do we produce sweat? Because it is mandated and controlled by our brain, no? Nagsasend ng signal si hypothalamus sa ating nerve and sweat glands, no? Para ma-cool down ng ating system, no? Kaya tayo pinagpapawisan. So that we can have the optimal temperature of our body, which is 36.5 to 37. Now, when we are, for example, in a region wherein nasa malamig, for example, nasa Baguio, we usually wear clothes that trap the heat inside our core. So technically, nagja-jacket tayo so that the heat can be recycled or pagka na-release yung heat sa ating katawan ay pwede pang ma-retain sa atin. So we have here this example. Usually also, when we are introduced to cold weather, we do, tawag dito, nag-shiver tayo, tama ba? Or giniginaw tayo, we do muscle contraction. So when we do shiver, ibig sabihin lang nun, our body or our muscle produces heat that supplement or supply the necessary heat that our body needs to. Diba kapag nasa low temperature, kailangan natin ng high temperature so that our body or our muscle moves to produce heat. Hence, we have the normal temperature. Next one, all living things respond to their environment or responds to stimulus. We have here the example of a human na na-introduce sa isang stimulus which is a hot surface. No? Pagka humawa ka ng mainit na pot or ng mainit na kawali, the tendency is the nerve in your palm or in your hand will send signal to your brain, and then the brain will interpret that you are in danger. Therefore, it will create an action by sending signal to the muscle in your hand to remove it. Ganun siya, okay? So again, kailangan natin mag-respond sa ating environment. Similar with the Macahiya plant that is located in the lower part of the screen. No? The Macahiya plant has this defense mechanism wherein if there are animals that wants to eat it, it will crawl back to its stem. No? So again, this is the very thing that I want you to learn. No? Biology is very easy to understand and also have lots of application in real life. In real life context, lalo na kayo ay grade 12, napakabilis ng facing natin. I know some of you are being overwhelmed with all of the things that we are talking about in biology or any other subject. But since you are a living thing, you must respond to your environment and stimulus. If you are being subjected to stress, you have to calm yourself. If you are being subjected to different activity, you have to finish the activity, because those who fail to respond to their environment will cease to exist. Meaning you become extinct. Tama ba? Kaya yung mga hindi nakakapag-adapt agad, ano nangyari sa kanila? Usually nahihirapan sila in the long run, no? Or hindi sila nakakasabay sa trend. So, ayun yung mangyari sa inyo. Or worst case scenario, pwede kayong mamatay in the kingdom Animalia. Kasi mas harsh in real world. Di ba sa kingdom Animalia, pag nasa safari ka, pag di ka nakakain, ano mangyari sa'yo, mamamatay ka. So, ganun din, no? Sa buhay, no? Ngayon kasi sa senior high school, medyo, paano ba? You are guided properly pa. When you enter college life, you will face lots of challenges, and good thing is, kailangan prepared tayo. No? We have to respond kasi yung mga di marunong mag-adjust, mapag-iiwanan sila. Next, all living things reproduce. The very reason why all living things needs to reproduce, just like what I mentioned, is to prevent extinction. Kasi pag wala ng living organism na or species, naging extinct sila, technically, nasa libro na lang sila, or yung iba nga nakatrace na lang sa fossils. No? So again, all of the living things needs to reproduce to proliferate their species. Ganun na siya kasimple. There are two types of reproduction, namely the sexual and asexual reproduction. The difference between the two is that sexual reproduction requires two parents for the offspring to be produced. No? Usually, it contains egg cell, saka sperm cell. When fused, it gives rise to zygote, and those zygote will give rise to species. Next one, we also have the asexual reproduction. If we have sexual, that contains two parent cell or two parents. In asexual, kailangan lang nito ng isang parent cell. So there are different types of sexual reproduction. But if we have an example, we have here the binary fission of the bacteria. Meron lang siyang isang parent cell, and the bacteria duplicate and do cell division. At the end of the whole process, this one parent cell give rise or yield two identical daughter cell. Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung DNA na meron dun sa isa, ay meron din dun sa isa. Because they have similar characteristic. Okay? Kasi nga, iisa lang ang parent. Next one, you also have the example of fragmentation here. So, ano nangyari dito? When animals, no, some animals and plants, when being subjected to or severed or cannot, or na-fragment, there will come a time that cell division will undergo, no, and will replace those missing cells. So time will come that these plants have their own structure. Okay, so we have living things reproduce. Next one, all living things have universal genetic code. You have to realize that may it be prokaryotic and eukaryotic, both organism or type of cell do contain DNA. So, ibig sabihin, meron silang genetic material. Tama ba? And DNA are the one that dictates how the organism will be or become or will be. Di ba? If you are familiar with The Gifted, sabi ni Anne Curtis, sabi ni Anne Curtis, kami sinabi si Anne Curtis sa mga may familiar, science tell us that genetic imprint predetermine predetermine you as a person. So, somewhat correct yun, but you also have to realize that even though we have genetics, ibig sabihin, even predetermined ang ating buhay or ang ating physique, behavior, you have to realize that there are environmental factors which also plays a crucial role on how we develop and grow as a species, lalo na sa tao. Tama ba? Ganon din sa ibang species, no? For example, pag-usapan natin yung upbringing, no? Behavior-wise. Kung maayos ang upbringing sa family, you will also have a great attitude or behavior. Again, this is a case-to-case basis. Pag-usapan naman natin yung bacteria o environment na, kung ang bacteria ay na-subject into a high heat environment, what do you think will happen to the genetics of the bacteria? There are tendency, no, that this bacteria can mutate or in a long period of time, pwede siyang maka-adapt doon sa high temperature. Hence, the genetic of those bacteria can also be altered. So those are the basic things about universal genetic code. Basta, lahat ng organism, may it be prokaryotic or eukaryotic, do contain a DNA or deoxyribonucleic acid. Lastly, for the unifying things about life, no, all living things grow and develop. No, na-discuss na to sa ibang section, but you have to realize that when we talk about all living things grow and develop, we are referring to both quantitative and qualitative aspect. So, ibig sabihin, ano pinagkaiba ng grow and development? So, when we talk about growth, usually we're talking about the quantitative aspect. Meaning, we are talking about, for example, increase of size, no? Tumangkad or increase of height, increase of weight. Those are examples of growth. Pwede rin naman increase of cell number, no? Dumami yung cell that are or that is an example of growth. On the other hand, development focuses on the qualitative side. No, masabi natin na there is a development. For example, si student A ay hindi nag-aaral before and when into the student by one, nagkaroon siya ng development on his study habits. So nagkaroon tayo ng qualitative measurement or meron tayong tinignan na behavior, no? And growth and development usually is being discussed when we tackle tawag dito, developmental biology, no? Kagaya sa example natin, we have the amphibian frog, no? From egg to tadpole to young frog up until to adult frog. Makikita natin yung growth because there's increase of height and also number of cell plus length, no? Nag-lengthen. There's a development. Why? Because makikita natin, although it is not presented on the screen, nagkaroon ng development from swimming to crawling up until to jumping. No? Nagkaroon ng pagbabago or development. So overall, last for the biological organization, we have this series of steps. Students, kindly familiarize yourself with this one because this may resurface the examination that will happen on the 3rd week of September. Alongside with it, there are entrance examination in college that also talks about this one, no? Yung hierarchy. When we talk about biology, we have to start sa cell because cell is the basic unit of life. So aggregation of cell o pinagsama-samang cell, you can form tissue, then organ system, organism, population, community, ecosystem, biome, and biosphere. But when we talk about organization in chemistry and physics, dapat magsimula tayo sa atom. Di ba? May subatomic particle pa ngayon. Subatomic particle, atom, molecule, hanggang biosphere. So yun muna for biological molecule. Proceed na tayo sa isa pang lesson, no? Share my screen, share ko ulit ang aking screen. So itong lesson natin, class, ito na yung cell principle and theory. Bigyan ko na kayo ng heads up, Yung cell principle and theory, nakikita na ba? Ayan. Sige. So for now, siguro hindi ko muna magagamit yung recitation points sa discussion na ito kasi inahabol ko talaga yung lesson. As much as I would like to give credit to those students who like to participate, hindi ko kayang i-cater yun kasi nga napahaba yung orientation natin. Okay? So siguro bukas o next meeting, magpo-proceed tayo sa another lesson. Anyway, ito yung ating previous lesson, Unifying Themes About Life tsaka Biological Organization. We will not talk about this one because kakasabi ko lang or kakadiscuss ko lang ng mga sumusunod. Now, let us talk about the basic principle of cell. These are the following objective: identify the different cell basic principle and explain the postulate of cell theory. Going back, when we talk about the cell basic principle, you have to realize that these are somewhat intertwined with what I have discussed earlier, no? Since cell is the basic unit of life, and we have discussed the different characteristics of life or unifying themes about life, there are moments or there are things that we will be mentioning here again because these are the principles about cell. Kaintindihan, ulitin ko, baka sabihin ng iba, sir, bakit po umulit? Kasi nga, cell is basic unit of life, and life has its own characteristic. Therefore, the unifying themes about life can also be patented to the cell. Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung discuss natin nung una, similar lang din sa cell. Kaya hindi ko na masyadong papahapiawin ito. No? Again, cells are the basic unit of life. If you're going to observe plant and animals on the microscope or in a microscopic level, they look like this. Okay? Siguro sa ngayon, di nyo pa siya or pa sila na-appreciate because wala pa tayong hands-on activity. But you will be seeing all of these things on the right time. Okay? So, pinaka-basic lang naman yan, all living things contain cell because that is the basic unit of life. Okay? So, we have here the taxonomy of living being or taxonomic rank. So, if you're going to look at the figure, it is arranged in inverted triangle. So, the arrangement is from exclusive to inclusive. No? From general to specific. So we have here the domain, which is, we have 3 domains, bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. We will discuss it on the next slide. But for context, ito yung hierarchy of pagkakasunod. Again, there are entrance exam in college that also discuss or have this concept as their question because these are basics of science and biology. So we have here the domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So you have to memorize or familiarize yourself with this one. We have here this example species, red fox. So if you're familiar with red fox or if you are a fan of a Pokemon, kilala niyo si Bullpix. Bullpix ay ang term na yun ay nanggaling sa kanyang scientific name which is Bullpes bulpes, no? And again, when we do name scientifically, we have this rule that is mandated by Carolus Linnaeus called binomial nomenclature. Ulitin ko it is called binomial nomenclature. Meaning, the term binomial means two term. Diba in mathematics or in algebra, you use binomial. Ibig sabihin lang nun, two term. Bi means two, nomial means term. And nomenclature means naming. So when we do scientific naming, we usually use binomial nomenclature. In our example, very evident, naka-parenthesis, yung Vulpes vulpes because its genus is Vulpes and specific epithet or species is Vulpes. Ano pa? For example, Homo sapien. Homo is the genus, sapiens is the species. So there are lots of scientific name that you can look into. Kung may pera kayo ngayon dyan, pwede nyo ilabas sa paper bill. No? Meron dong scientific name at saka common name. The correct way to write scientifically pag printed, dapat naka-italicize. Kung mapapansin natin, naka-italicize dapat. Pero kapag handwritten, you have to underline the genus and the species. But anyway, this is the ranking of taxonomical. No? From domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Kaya pa? Okay. Now, we have here the different domains of life. Ang acronym na ginagamit ko lagi pag domain ay BAY. Tingin ko BAY. Ano ibig sabihin ng BAY? Bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. So sa bacteria, meron na tayong mga example dyan before, no? Yung mga lactobacillus, Escherichia coli, Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Those are single-celled organism, no? And they replicate rapidly. Okay? Next one, we also have the archaea or archaeans. So ano naman ang characteristic ng archaeans? Archaeans are the organism that live and thrive on an extreme or harsh environment. Meaning, sila po ay nakatira sa mga harsh o malulupit na environment. So if you can imagine the Earth back then, in a primitive time, sige, if you can imagine, you can close your eyes, and then try to imagine that the Earth is surrounded with lots of volcano. There are lots of volcanic eruption that is happening. The Earth has lots of lava that is scattered on the ground, and the atmosphere is surrounded with sulfuric acid and methane. So, ganun yung Earth back then. But you have to realize that even though the Earth looks like that, there are organisms that still live and thrive. These are the archaea. Okay, yung mga sinauna or primitive na organism. Mga single cell din ito mga ito. No, meron tayong extremophile na tinatawag. We have thermophile. Pag sinabing thermophile, thermo means heat or temperature, and phile means loving. So thermophile organism are the one that can live in a high temperature environment. We also have halophile, HALO Phile. So halophile are the organism that can live in a high salinity content. For the last one, we also have the acidophile. Acidophile. Hindi ako makapag-take down notes sa board. So acidophile are the one or organism that can live in a acidic environment. So those are archaea. So last one, we have the archaea, eukarya. Below eukarya, we have kingdom. Nakita na natin yung taxonomy, di ba? Sa una, we have the domain. Below domain, we have the kingdom. And sa eukarya, no, or eukaryotic, below it, we have the kingdom. These are the different kingdom. We have the kingdom plantae or plant, kingdom fungi, kingdom animalia, kingdom protista. So these are the different examples. Now, let us talk about the two distinct type of cell, which are known as prokaryotic and eukaryotic. These two cells differ when it comes to structure. Technically, magkaiba talaga sila sa structure at saka sa size. Okay? So, organism in domain bacteria in archaea ay prokaryotic cell. Tignan natin ha, bacteria and archaea are prokaryotic cell, while eukaryotic cell naman, dito na yung protist, fungi, animals, and plants. So let us examine this picture. So for comparison purposes, I just zoom the prokaryotic cell, but relatively, the size of prokaryotic cell is smaller compared to eukaryotic cell. Ulitin natin ha, for comparison purposes, nilakin lang natin yung picture ng prokaryotic para pwede natin siyang itabi kay eukaryotic. Second thing that you need to consider, hindi talaga ganito ang kulay ng mga cell. Siguro naman, alam niyo na yun, no? We use different color to differentiate different structure that is involved in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. Arso? Okay. So, kagaya sinabi ko, no, these are some visual representation, no, for you to be able to differentiate both prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Now, let us proceed on the difference of prokaryotic and eukaryotic. One distinct difference of prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell is the presence of the nucleus. If you're going to look at the picture, prokaryotic cell do not contain a nucleus. Sige, tingin tayo sa prokaryotic sa left side. Meron ba kayo nakikitang bilog dyan na concentrated yung chromosome or DNA? Wala po, ate. Tama ba? In eukaryotic cell naman, there is this color green circle that is the nucleus. And therefore, eukaryotic cell do have a nucleus. Sir Mark, saan po nakikita yung DNA ng prokaryotic cell? Kung ang prokaryotic cell ay walang nucleus, they contain nucleoid. So, ibig sabihin, meron siyang lugar kung saan concentrated yung DNA. So, we have nucleoid for prokaryotic, eukaryotic have a nucleus. Another thing that you need to consider is that prokaryotic cell is simpler in nature compared kay eukaryotic. Ulitin natin ha, prokaryotic is simple, eukaryotic is much more complex. Because one thing that we need to consider is that eukaryotic has a membrane-bound organelles. Kung nakikita niyo iba't ibang part dito sa loob ng cell, those are the membrane-bound organelles. This includes, sa animal cell, meron tayong mitochondria, Golgi apparatus or Golgi complex, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum, nucleus, etc. etc. Ngayon, sa prokaryotic cell, wala silang ganon or wala membrane-bound organelle ang prokaryotic cell. Hence, we call it much more simpler compared to eukaryotic cell. Recall ulit natin mga pinagsasabi ni Sir Mark. Prokaryotic cell is simple, eukaryotic is complex. Prokaryotic has a nucleoid, eukaryotic has a nucleus. Prokaryotic do not have a membrane-bound organelle. Eukaryotic have a membrane-bound organelle. Last thing that you need to consider is that prokaryotic cell have a circular DNA, while eukaryotic cell have a linear DNA. If I'm going to draw a DNA, sige, pwede kayo mag-search sa internet, the DNA is a double helix-stranded molecule. Tama ba? Para siyang ladder na paikot. But if you're going to untangle it, ang itsura niyan class ay linear lang. No? Parang hagdanan lang yan in general. So, ang pinagkaiba ng prokaryotic at eukaryotic, again, eukaryotic has a linear DNA, while prokaryotic has a circular, smaller DNA. Tinatawag natin itong plasmid. Plasmid. Si plasmid po yung very reason why prokaryotic cell like bacteria develop resistance to different antibiotic. No? Walang ganun sa eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cell lang ang may ganun. Sorry. All living things do contain DNA and RNA. So what is the difference of DNA and RNA? DNA is the deoxyribonucleic acid, which is much more stable compared kay RNA. Kasi si RNA ay single-stranded molecule lamang. So kung ikaw ay single in life, technically you are much unstable. Ganun ba yun? Parang hindi naman. Anyway, DNA is double-stranded molecule kasi may kapartner na siyang nucleotides. RNA do not contain a partner na nucleotides, meaning they can be associated and form bond with other particles within the organelle. Hence, we call it less stable. Okay, DNA is used for genetic information while RNA is used for creation of protein. Pag-usapan natin yan sa Gen Bio. Okay, cell contains organelle, particularly in the eukaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cell lang ang may organelle class, ha? Ayan. Living things reproduce, no? Napagitan natin to, there are sexual and asexual reproduction. Yung example natin dito ng asexual is yung yeast. Yeast do budding for them to, or for it to give rise to offspring, no? While in sexual naman, we have humans, no? And all animals, we have two parent cell, or we have two parent, the male sperm cell and female egg cell. So we also have cell reproduction. Cell needs to reproduce, no? Because again, para proliferate yung species, no? There are two types of cell reproduction, namely the mitosis and meiosis. Pag-uusapan natin ito sa module ng cell reproduction, but for overview, I want you to realize that all of the cell that we have in our body undergo mitosis, except for those that have something to do with the reproductive cell. Pag reproductive cell or gametes, G-A-M-E-T-E, gamete or gametes, ay mag-undergo ito ng meiosis. So technically, ang nagma-meiosis lang po ay yung sperm cell at saka egg cell. Lahat ng cells sa katawan ay nag-undergo ng mitosis except sa sperm cell at saka egg cell. Paano po, Sir Mark, yung hair follicle? Or sa cell sa hair follicle, mitosis. Paano po yung skin cell, mitosis? Again, ang ating somatic cell na tinatawag ay lahat ng cell except sa reproductive cell. Pag gametes naman or sex cell, it undergo meiosis, namely the sperm cell at saka egg cell. Yan. So we also have here the example of binary fission na ginagawa ng mga bacteria. One parent cell yields to two identical daughter cells. Asexual reproduction ito. All cell has their own processes, no? Siguro papaya na lang to. The different material that is essential for photosynthesis are number one, carbon dioxide and water. No? CO2 and H2O is very essential for plant to grow. Tama ba? Alongside with it, it needs light energy na galing sa sun. No? All of those three things are the ingredients for photosynthesis to commence. Now, the byproduct of photosynthesis is sugar. No? Gumagawa ng sariling pagkain yung plant, and also oxygen is being released within the environment. No? So anong catch? Yung glucose na meron na produce ang plant, it will now be ingested by animals like us human. No? Pag kumain tayo ng prutas, those fruits contain glucose or sugar, and those sugar will be ingested by human. Alongside with it, we also consume the oxygen that is being released by the trees or plants. So, pagka ingest ng oxygen, pati ng pagkain, we undergo cellular respiration. In cellular respiration, the basic concept there is we need oxygen, we need glucose for it to happen. So, glucose is being break down and it produces energy. Yung pinaka-basic for now, kasi magba-biomolecules pa tayo. Now, this energy is utilized by the plants or these are utilized by animals. So for example, kumain tayo ng pagkain, magiging byproduct nun ay energy. Alongside with the energy as the byproduct or ATP, we also release carbon dioxide and water. So for example, pag pinagpawisan tayo, it releases water and also it releases carbon dioxide. So the cycle continues because we have to realize that plant and animals are intertwined with each other or coexisting with each other. So yung mga byproduct natin, ginagamit nila ng plants, and yung byproduct ng plants na hindi na kailangan gagamitin ng tao. So nakikita natin yung cyclic nature. Also realize that basic cell principle includes active and passive transport. No, there are pag active kailangan ng energy, ATP, pagka passive hindi kailangan ng energy. Okay na 'yon? DNA replication, when we undergo mitosis or cell division, kailangan may DNA pares ng cell. Hindi pwedeng yung isang cell lang ang may DNA kasi magkakaroon ng genetic aberration, magkakaroon ng aberya or magkakaroon ng disorder if there's a problem when it comes to DNA replication. Di ba last time I have mentioned that DNA is the blueprint of life or it contains the genetic information, the DNA. Ngayon, kung wala kang blueprint, kung wala kang information, paano tatakbo ang cell? So technically, it can cause disorder or it can wreak havoc within the system. So, meron tayong process na pag-usapan na DNA replication. I believe this has been discussed to you in your grade 10 science. Oo, pero we will discuss this furthermore on Gen Bio. Protein synthesis or creation of protein takes place in the cell cytoplasm with the help of the ribosome. Pag-usapan natin din yan, no? Transcription and translation, but for simpler term, RNA or messenger RNA helps in creation of protein. And again, what is the essence of protein in the body? The protein are the one that helps in building our muscle and other structure within the cell. You have to realize that protein is not just used in cell. Although it is used in cell, no? Yung protein nagagamit din siya sa paggawa ng paggawa ng cell membrane. No? Yung protein ginagamit din siya sa paggawa ng enzyme. So maraming function si protein sa ating katawan. Now, let us proceed on the modern cell cycle. No? We will be mentioning all of these things, but we will focus also on the three postulates or cell theory. So ito yung mga pinag-usapan ng mga scientists before, no? Yung mga mahilig sa living things, no? I want you to remember these things, no? Because this may be included in your exam. I hope you are getting the Easter egg hunt. I'm trying to pitch you. Try to understand this PowerPoint. So, energy, una, energy flow occurs within the cell. No, napaka-basic. Second, DNA is passed from one cell to the another cell. Alam na rin natin yun pag nag-undergo ng mitosis. At pangatlo, all cells have the same basic chemical composition. So these are the modern cell theory that you need to understand. Okay? So ayun yung parang wrap up ng mga pinagsasabi natin kanina about cell principle. Now, I am not fond of history, but we have to deal with it and study biology in historical perspective, no? Para mas ma-appreciate natin saan ba nanggaling yung term cell, which is also known as the basic unit of life. You have to realize that Robert Hooke used microscope in examining the slice of cork. So, Sir Mark, ano po yung cork? If you are familiar with wine, familiar ba kayo sa wine? Di ba yung taas ng wine bago mabuksan, meron yung cork doon? Or nakita na kayo ng cork board sa faculty? Yung pinag-istampan ng mga announcement, those are cork board. Saan po siya gawa? Gawa po siya sa bark ng isang tree. So, ayun po yung in-observe ni Robert Hooke. So, ano sabi ni Robert Hooke while using the microscope? Habang ina-obserbahan niya yung cork, he had realized, na-realize niya na bakit ganon? Yung plant cell o yung plant o yung cork board o yung cork itself is made up of honeycomb. Kung na-imagine or nakakita kayo ng honeycomb, they are hexagonal in nature. Tama ba? Or pabilog. So, ayun yung unang nakita ni Robert Hooke noong 1665 sa slice of cork. He chose the name cell as the name because it reminds him of cell in the monastery o sa mga monghe, no? Back then, ang tinitiran kasi ng mga monghe is napaka-simple lang, no? Since monks live a modest life, monks back then live in a monastery, and the monastery ay walang laman na kahit ano, as in tulugan lang, and then ang itsura noon ay simpleng bilog lang. So doon nakatira yung mga monghe, no? And then doon din binase ni Robert Hooke yung pangalan na cell. Actually nanggaling ito sa term na cellulae. C-E-L-L-U-L-A-E. Cellulae. Kaya lang masyadong mahaba, no? Kalaunan tinawag itong cell, no? And up until now, it is called a cell. He thought that cell only exists in plants and fungi because one thing that he have observed is the cork, which is a plant base, tama ba? Or part of the plant, yung bark o yung trunk ng tree. So akala niya nung una ay sa plant lang merong cell. Kasi nga hindi niya pa na-observe yung human or animal. So yun muna yung unang or fundamentals about cell. No? In 1665, again, Robert Hooke examined sliced cork and he coined the term cell. Next one, we have here Anton van Leeuwenhoek. Sabihin nyo nga in your screen, kahit nasa bahay kayo, sana sabihin nyo, Anton van Leeuwenhoek. Lalabas din to sa exam, kahit sa mga college and university entrance exam. So si Anton van Leeuwenhoek is known as father of microscopy, or father of the microscope. Why? Because in 1673, Leeuwenhoek was first to viewing living organism under the microscope. Kung si Robert Hooke, ang kanyang inobserve ay plant, because back then hindi pa nila nakikita yung plant as, or di pa nila realize that plant is a living thing. So in 1673, ang ginawa ni Anton van Leeuwenhoek naman, ang inobserve niya ay yung mga living microorganism. Trigger warning or disclaimer, baka may kumakain dyan, no? Baka may manggire. He used sample handheld microscope. So ang ginamit niya, kung nakikita niyo sa picture, ay meron siyang sariling microscope device. Hindi pa yung microscope na ginagamit natin ngayon sa laboratory. As in portable microscope pa yung ginagamit niya. Tapos ang ginawa niya, he get water sample from the pond and he tries to observe what is inside those water. And then he realized that there is this small thing that is moving in the water. Aside from it, ito yung medyo disclaimer at medyo kadiri. He scraped his teeth and tried to observe what can be seen using the microscope, or back then yung pinakasimpleng microscope. He realized that there are living things that are small in nature. So gumagalaw ka sila eh. Hence, Anton van Leeuwenhoek called it animalcule. Bakit animalcule? They are called as small animal. Di ba nga yung molecule is a small mole? Ganun din yung animalcule, maliit na animal. No? Yung mga animalcule, ito yung sa panahon ngayon tinatawag natin ng protists. No? Ito yung mga nakatira sa pond na amoeba, yung glina, no? Tsaka mga ganung bagay. And also, yung nasa teeth niya, na-scrape niya, bacteria na iyon, no? Na nakatira or nakatira doon sa kanyang ngipin. So again, Anton van Leeuwenhoek in 1673 was the first to observe living organism under microscope, particularly animal cell, no? O yung mga animal cell or mga protista. He called it animalcules. Then in 1838, Matthias Jacob Schleiden. So pakisabi nga sa inyong mga screen or kahit nasan kayo ngayon, Matthias Jacob Schleiden. Ayan. So siya isang scientist, malamang. In 1838, he suggested that every structural element of plant is composed of cell or their product. So napaka-basic lang nito, no? Again, nung unang panahon pa, nung 1665, hindi pa rin alam ni Robert Hooke no, yung differentiation ng different living organism like plant, animal, protists, and fungi that we know today. No? There is this progression that happens, no? From the observation of Robert Hooke to the observation of Anton van Leeuwenhoek to the observation of Matthias Jacob Schleiden or Matthias Schleiden. Sabi ni Schleiden, habang ina-observe niya yung mga plants, lahat ng plants na na-observe ko ay meron tinatawag na cell na kinoin din ni Robert Hooke. Therefore, na-conclude niya or sinabi niya na lahat pala ng plant ay may tinatawag na plant cell. So if you're going to look at the picture at the right side, ito yung itsura ng plant cell, no? The plant cell ay tawag dito, pa-box. Usually, box ang itsura ng plant cell or rectangular in nature. No? Symmetrical. Unlike animal cell na circular or bilog. So, ngayon, alam na natin na yung different component ng plant cell. Ito yung makikita sa middle part ng picture, no? Yung plant cell animated or cartoon version. And we also know the different parts of plant cell. And again, this is the contribution of Matthias Schleiden. In 1838, again, he suggests that all plant contain a cell. Ganun lang siya kabilis. Next time, we have Theodor Schwann. Sabi niya, Theodor Schwann. In 1839 naman, kung si Schleiden ay 1838, si Schwann naman nung 1839 ay inobserbahan yung iba't ibang animal tissue or animal tissues. No? He is a zoologist and he stated that all elementary parts of animal tissue are formed of cell. So, ibig sabihin niya, lahat daw ng tissue, no, ay gawa sa cell. Ito din yung nakita natin about sa hierarchy or organizational or biological organization that we have discussed last time. Tama ba? Lahat daw ng tissue ay gawa sa cell, which is true because tissue is just a congregation or pinagsama-samang cell, no? And ito yung mga na-observe ni Theodor Schwann from figure 1 to figure 13. No, ayan yung mga yun. Cell structure depicted by Schwann. Okay, so ilan na yung mga proponent natin para hindi tayo malito? Balikan natin. Robert Hooke in 1665 coined the term cell. In 1673, Anton van Leeuwenhoek called the term animalcule, and also he is known as the father of microscopy. Matthias Jacob Schleiden is a botanist that suggests that all plant is made up of cell in 1838. And in 1839, zoologist Theodor Schwann stated that the elementary parts of animal tissue are formed using cell. For the last proponent that we have here, we have the Rudolf Virchow. In 1855, ang ginawa niya, since siya ay medical doctor, he observed cell under the living microscope. So ano na-realize niya? No? Ano na-realize ni Rudolf Virchow habang nag-observe siya ng cell sa microscope? No, sinabi niya in German, no? Tapos may bigote, omnicellula e cellula. So ibig sabihin, direct translation in English, cells arise from pre-existing cell. Ibig sabihin, para makapag-form ka ng isang cell, kailangan may pinanggalingan ka ng cell. Hindi pwedeng nag-poof ka lang dyan out of nowhere and you have a cell already. No? You have to realize that cell arise from pre-existing cell. Hence, Rudolf Virchow says that omnicellula is cellular. Okay, yun yung sinabi ni Rudolf Virchow. Yun talaga. Now, let us wrap up all of the 5 proponents' suggestion when it comes to cell theory. Again, Mr. Egg Hunt, pakiantandaan itong PowerPoint na ito o itong slide na ito. This may resurface your examination. There are 3 cell theory or postulates that we have to consider. And these are the summary of all of the things that the previous scientists have discovered and do in their experimentation. Okay? So unang-una sa listahan, all organisms are composed of one or more cell. Inulit natin all organisms are composed of one or more cell. May it be human, plant, bacteria, kailangan meron sila or gawa sila sa cell. No? Nakalagay dyan one or more kasi we are not just encapsulating human, no? We are talking about also the plant, which are multicellular, ibig sabihin madami, at saka bacteria, which is unicellular. Kaya one or more. Okay? For the second one, all cell arise from pre-existing cell. Ito yung sinabi ni Rudolf Virchow, no? So from one parent cell, it yields or produce daughter cell, no? So we call it the second postulate or theory, all cells arise from pre-existing cell. For the third one, The cell is the structural and functional unit of living things, no? Ito naman yung sinabi ni, sinasabi nito? Si, paano nito? Balikan natin. Si Schwann, sorry, si Schwann. Sabi ni Schwann that the cell is the structural and functional unit of living things kasi nga, di ba na-observe niya that tissues are made up of cell or pinagsama-sama cell. So I think that ends our discussion for cell theory. Tomorrow, Friday, we will discuss or start discussing cell parts and structure. Okay? So before we part ways, I just want to share this quote that I find on the internet. Ang sabi ni Dan Millman, everything you'll ever need to know is within you. The secrets of the universe are imprinted on the cells of your body. Kagaya ng sinabi natin kanina, all living things contains a cell. Tama ba? All living things contains a cell, and all those cells contains a DNA or genetic imprint. You have to realize that you have the genetics of your father, your great-grandfather, and also your great ancestor. Hence, you hold the secret of the universe. Ibig sabihin, yung history, no? From your great-grandfather up until you is being imprinted within your body. The good thing is, kagaya sinabi ko kanina, even though we have the predetermined thing about DNA, it is up to us, human, to change the course of how are we going to be. Tama ba? Even though we have the DNA already, we can change of what are the things that we will be, or we can choose kung sino o kung paano tayo magiging paglaki natin. So that would be all for today, and I hope you understand our lesson in cell principle and cell theory. Again, pakibasa ang mga sumusunod. No? Yung PowerPoint naman nasa Canvas na siya. Pag nagka-access na kayo, merong study guide doon pati PowerPoint presentation. So permission to stop sharing and permission to stop the recording. So that would be all for